You're with Life Skills Patrol, 6 to 8 every Saturday on Beagle Radio, 88.1 FM or online at beagleradio.co.nz. That was a tour, buskers. Thank you, guys. This is Beagle. If you want to contact the station manager, email info@beagleradio.co.nz. Requests can be made through the website www.beagleradio.co.nz or email back@beagleradio.co.nz, or you can Skype us, beagle.radio881. In the next few weeks, we have a number of guests lined up from all kinds of professions and industries, including real estate, business coaching, financial retirement planning, and massage therapy using beautifully smelling herbally charged oils. Woo! Can't wait for that. First, you might remember my co-host last week, Brett. He's a great guy, but he's not here tonight. Seems he is just a little bit too popular to come and join us again in the studio right now. We're going to check out what he's been up to next week, but essentially I believe it involves Winston Peters. Tonight we're talking fast, motorcycle speed record fast. Also professional photography, as well as living sustainably. We're also going to ask some important questions. For instance, let me read you this email that we got this week. Now, this is not a political show, and I'm not interested in starting a political discussion, but I just wonder what you think of this idea. Got a letter from Andrew Kirkton, Labour's General Secretary, and it said, "It's a fact that election campaigning has changed in the past few years, but even with huge developments in social media and big data, one principle remains true: to get people to vote for us, we need to have as many personal conversations as possible." Sounds sensible to me so far. That's why we're rolling out a groundbreaking new IT system for our party. It's called Labour Connect. It means our organisers and volunteers can make more phone calls and have more conversations on the doorstep than ever before. Yay. Wayne, that's me. This is game-changing, but even with the best technology on offer, it means nothing unless our activists know how to use it. I kind of have a problem with being called an activist. But the next bit is I have even more of a problem with. We urgently need to train our organisers and volunteers to use Labour Connect so they can make the most of it right now. That's where you come in, Wayne. Can you help us teach volunteers and organisers the skills to use Labour Connect by chipping in to fund their training sessions across the country? I'm not sure if I should be offended because they think I can't use a computer, or you can't use a computer, or whether it's because they're asking for money. Anyone who's had software training before knows that it's important to have someone in the room with you guiding you through the system. So we need our trainers on the ground teaching our volunteers, campaign managers and organisers. Wayne, will you chip in and help us run training workshops across New Zealand? Click here to donate. Thanks, Andrew Kirkton, Labour Party General Secretary. It looks pretty official to me. But the question that we're going to ask, because we're going to ask some important questions tonight. For instance, seems money is tight these days. Even though we all pay our taxes, it appears we still need to shell out for services like ambulance, education, and now apparently political party electoral campaigns. Perhaps MPs can set up automatic payments from their own salaries? That was a question I mentioned I was going to ask on the show tonight. Anyone with an answer can post it to Life Skills Patrol on Facebook. We're open tonight with Engaging Sustenance with James. James, welcome to the show. Come and grab a seat. Thank you. Oh, give the man a seat. There you go. How you doing tonight?
Really good.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. It's good to be on this end of the in the radio station. We listen to it often, you see. Most days. Yeah.
Cool.
Really cool.
Well, you know, I'm really excited about tonight. I've been waiting for a few weeks since I came over and had a look at your place, and we had a little discussion about all the stuff you got going there. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's it's ongoing. It's just there's so much to it, and it's something that we're just immersed in ourselves, and in a way just scratching the surface. And at the end of the day, for us it's about food production. That's where the sustainability lies. And food production's at the core of our existence, I suppose, and yeah, we're just trying to do as much as we can there, and trial things and push boundaries, I suppose, in a way. But we do live urbanly, and we've got a large urban section, but we're really trying to cram as much as we can into that section to produce food for ourselves, and you know, that has a flow-on effect. It's good for our health. It feels good. We enjoy doing it, so it's a bit of leisure. But it's also sustenance for our bellies, and it's good food, and it saves us money. You know, at the end of the day, it saves us quite a bit of money. The more we can produce ourselves, the more we don't have to work.
That's fantastic. Yeah, look, like Okay, when I met my wife, I was going to be a corporate legend. It was all about making money, big money. I remember being at a conference in Hawaii and crossing the road with my CEO, and he was jumping a jig and dancing with excitement with this thing that I'd arranged. And I said, "Bro, what's up with you, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I'm in the right place at the right time, doing exactly what I was born to do." And a thought struck me. I didn't feel like that at all. It was a job. It was a very nice job, don't get me wrong, but it was a job, and it wasn't where my heart was at. And I ended up marrying a hippie, and I've kind of become one. But it's not about being a hippie, is it? It's not about self-sustaining. It's more than that, isn't it?
It is.
What you're doing.
It's right, and it's not a self. Like I don't believe there is such a thing as self-sufficiency. It's something. It's bigger than that. It's a community, and we're all in this together. And I can't see. It would be really, really difficult to produce all the food you need for yourself. And we're doing more than just food. Like, we're looking at our transport systems and how we can get around more sustainably, which has a flow-on effect. It's a lot cheaper. So we're using our bikes, and we're running the vehicle on veggie oil, so from different takeaway joints around town in Whangarei. So, and we're processing that and putting it into our vehicle. And so we're pushing a lot of boundaries, but in that process having a lot of fun, and that's crucial to it. But I don't know where the drive sort of comes from, but every day you're sort of trying to push a new boundary or and something that's going to spin your wheels, and that's I think what drives me to do it. It's not anything about trying to be as sustainable as we can, but although that is the core of it, I think, but that's not what drives it day to day, because a lot of the stuff you're doing is a little bit mundane, or it might be, a bit arduous and physical. Like, there's a lot of physical work involved, but that part of it's enjoyable. I go on a tangent, and I think, I could talk all day about it, but it's
I could listen all day. Just go ahead. One thing I noticed is you didn't add anything to the atmosphere coming down here, except maybe a little bit of heat. You came down by bike. I got this text that said, "Dude, I'll be there in 10 minutes," and then I'm like, "Wow, this dude's here on a bike."
In Whangarei, we live in town, and we live in Morningside, and it's quicker to get around town on a bike. So it just makes sense, just jump on a bike and you're through the traffic lights, you fill your lungs with oxygen, you arrive somewhere humming, and it's just, I don't know, you can't beat that, I think. And I jump in a car, the work that I do, I have to pick up supplies around town, and when I have to do a short journey in the vehicle, I'm almost cursing, like I wish I had my bike, because you can get places quicker and more efficiently, and yeah, the town's moving forward in that regard. I'm so excited. There's just with so many cycle tracks going in, and more people on bikes, and it's happened globally, but we can see it happening in Whangarei, and that's exciting. So,
that is exciting. I have a number of friends from Holland, and this one friend that I'm thinking of comes from a city where it's built for bikes. And I saw a video on Facebook, and it was just mind-blowing. But yeah, so what I wanted to do was have a good chat to you about this. So I came out to your place. My wife has got me subscribed to this thing called Grow Food, Not Lawns. And I keep thinking, for years and years I was going to have the perfect putting green lawn, and I've put so much energy and money and time into trying to grow this perfect lawn, and then when it grows I have to cut it, and that's petrol, and I got to this point where I can't even eat the grass, not really. And I got to this point just recently where I thought, why am I doing this? Why do people have lawns? I was subscribed to that site that my wife keeps talking about, and I got inspired, and I tried some stuff, and I know nothing. I know absolutely nothing about gardens. So the first thing was a bit of a catastrophe. I thought, right, I'm going to turn at least half this back lawn into garden, and I'm going to do it with mulch, because there was this big tree threatening to fall onto our house behind us, and the person that owned the section cut the tree down, much to the sadness of a lot of us in the area. But they cut the tree down and they turned it into mulch. So I thought, right, that's what I'll start with. And so I scraped all this stuff, and I thought, first thing I've got to do is get rid of the grass. So I carted all this stuff in by wheelbarrow. The man said I could. And I realized very soon that actually you can't plant stuff in that, not if you want it to grow. But what it did do very successfully is it stopped the grass and it stopped the weeds. And then I had another friend, because I'm only it's only probably a third of the back lawn, so I wanted to start the next part. And I had a friend who was very good with gardening, and I said, what's the best way to do this? The bark wasn't the smartest thing in the world, and he gave me some encouragement. He said, well, not now, but give it 18 months, it'll break down. And I had chickens there before, so they'd left a lot of nitrogen around, and he said that bark will just soak up the nitrogen, and in 18 months you'll be glad you did it. And I went, well, that's great in 18 months, but what do you suggest I do with this bit of the garden here? So he said, dig it. So I dug it, and boy, you can't get rid of the grass, you can't get rid of the weeds, you can't get rid of anything. It's just, yeah, okay, at least you can plant things in the dirt there now, but you know, it's not the garden I was after. And then I came and saw you, and I said, James, what's a man to do? And you gave me some brilliant advice, and I want you to know the rest of the backyard, I followed that advice. A couple of months from now, we'll be looking good. But you remember what that was you told me?
Yeah, it's nice. I think I want to take it back a little bit, and so lawns, I think, come from it's a historic thing, and I think what's happened historically, we were, you know, hunters gatherers, and having open savannas around our houses or around our spaces where we live created security. And so I believe that that's where it comes from. Right back then, when we like to have open spaces around our places often, and so the lawn is such an easy thing to maintain. You kind of get out your lawnmower and you whip around, and you've got a nice green looking lawn, and we do that. But we're using it as a product. So those lawn clippings that we're cutting are like, you know, it's like gold to us. And what we do is just spread that straight onto the garden, on top of the garden. And we're actually bringing in a lot of lawn clippings from a commercial contractor who mows lawns. And so he brings that to us. For him, it's something he's trying to get rid of as a waste product. But for us, it's a resource. And that's where it's a win-win. So he's getting rid of what he's trying to get rid of, and we're getting something that we really need or want. And that just builds up the soil, and the soil. So
you use that as a mulch, right?
As a mulch, yeah.
And it's full of nitrogen.
Full of nitrogen, and as it dries, it's transforming more into carbon. So as the nitrogen is sucked up by the soil and the organisms that are in the soil, and those organisms are the most crucial thing. Like in our Western culture, we sort of believe that, you know, the soil is everything, but it's only one component of it, and the soil microbes that live in there are crucial to the plant's survival. And it's the same with the water and the water health. And in Chinese culture, they have this water dragon that flows through the land, and that's as important as the land itself. Whereas us, we have this mentality, you just water. And for example, in Whangarei, we have water that's contaminated or that's been cleaned and got chlorine in it. What's chlorine do? It kills the microorganisms. And so our microorganisms in our soil are being killed by the water we put on. But yet we sort of think, oh my goodness, our plants are dying, we need to water them more. Yes, that could be true, but in a way you're killing the soil. So it's a really interesting thing when you get right into it. And the one example of that is peas. I don't see many people growing peas these days, and I think, and I've been told by quite a few experienced old school gardeners that the chlorine is the thing that stops mass, you know, good growth in pea plants. So I'm yet to kind of be conclusive about that.
Well, I'm always learning from you, and you know, you're a friendly guy. You didn't know me from a bar of soap, and I just rang you up and said, hey, I'm really interested in what you're doing. Can I come and pick your brains? And you're like, yeah, come over. And I noticed that. I thought, you know, so my wife's got me on this grow food, not lawns, and so I'm on this mission to get rid of lawns. And you've just changed my plan again. I was going to get rid of the front lawn, now I'm going to keep it. And every time I speak to you, you change my plans for me, which is brilliant.
Can I say something there?
Yep.
What we're really into is permaculture, and permaculture is a design system where we're trying to work with existing natural systems and make it work for us.
Don't fight it.
Don't fight it, exactly. And it makes sense, you know. Why try and swim upriver when you can swim down?
Because my back's hurting just thinking about all this work I'm creating for myself.
Yeah, if you want instant results, then you've got to do the hard work, I think. But if you've got the time, then you can really work with systems. And so what we've done is looked at the patterns of our lives and looked at, okay, so for example, where do we walk most? Where do we walk? And so it's out the back door and then around to the front of the house. And so that's a path that we take often. So why not plant the food that you want to harvest along that, or the food that needs a lot of maintenance? Because then you're walking past it and noticing, oh, that's not looking so good. You might keep walking and not be able to deal with it at that time, but it registers in your mind.
At least you know.
But often we garden in the back, it's right in the back, and that's where the compost heap is that we throw things on, and where it's something that you go to do. It's not immersed in our lives and integrate and intertwined. So it does make sense, and it's really simple, and that's kind of one example of what permaculture thinking is, and the principles around permaculture is about designing for the patterns that we have in our lives, and those desire lines. We desire to go down that track, or we desire to go wherever around your property.
Whereas I think where my head is stuck is I've got to produce as much as possible and manipulate and fight it, and it's not the right approach.
Wow.
Just by itself, and I mean, hey, a hard work out in the garden, I actually enjoy it more than a hard day at work anywhere else, and I love it. But there's a matter of efficiency, and that's what you're talking about.
It is efficiency, but I suppose with it comes aesthetics, and that's where we're talking about lawns as well. And all our glossy magazines, gardening magazines, and you walk into the different retailers, and it's all very pretty, and we're trying to find that, and I find that really important too. Like the aesthetics are really important. So we're trying to make a balance there where when you arrive, or you're walking those paths, that it feels nice too, and it's not. I think a lot of permaculture places, or people who are kind of gardening in different styles, have a reputation for kind of being a place where there's a lot of junk around and there's weeds growing everywhere, and which has its pros and cons. Like weeds serve a purpose as well. Like often a weed will be in a place because it's healing that soil. That plant. Not in all cases, but there's quite a few cases where if the soil is acidic, certain plants will only grow in that soil. But what that plant is doing is turning the soil back into a more neutral soil type. So different plants have different functions, and so
do we get rid of the weed, or do we keep the weed, or does it depend?
Well, if you're fighting it, you'd be getting rid of the weed. But if you're working with it, and it also is based on intensity. So if you want high production in a small area, then there's not a lot of room for weeds. Whereas if you're trying to work with what's existing, and kind of maybe not weeding so often, and having a few weeds growing around, and just working with that a little bit, it can kind of balance and help in the soil, or to heal the.
That suits me right down to the ground. I don't have to be so crazy about it. I can just relax a little.
Nice.
It's all part of the balance.
Yeah, and you've got to have that relaxing time, especially in the garden. Just taking time out and going, this is where we are. This is cool. I like this. Look what we've done, and reflect. And
you really can't rush it. I tried, didn't work.
Yeah.
In fact, in trying to rush it, I probably delayed things. So yeah. So what do you actually do for work?
So I have a fingers in quite a few pies, and as an income source, we grow food, but we don't sell. Well, we don't sell that. I keep bees. That's one thing that I do as a hobby. But the main thing that I'm doing is building work, and so I'm doing a lot of furniture and doing a lot of maintenance around buildings and building infrastructure. So that's kind of the core part of my business. And yeah, but traditionally I've been doing a lot of building work, and that's where my main incomes come from. But what I trained in was in conservation, and to be a park ranger. That was my dream from quite a young age, and I followed that dream and got there. And this is what's taken me along this path, actually, is that conservation ethic that we've got in New Zealand, which is fantastic. We're trying to save the kiwi, save the Kodi, and save our forests, which is fantastic. But what I was finding is that there was a bit of contrast, conflict in the way that we lived our lives versus how we conserved our forests. And so we're happy to be conserving our forests on the west coast or our forests in Northland, but yet we're still happy to drag timber out of Indonesia, their forests, and use that for our hardwood deckings. And so those kind of things started to get to me, and this is where the permaculture thing came along, and it was like, well, this is a system where you can intertwine those two things, where you're looking after the natural conservation systems that are surviving, or that we're trying to keep alive in our country, but intertwine in some way our existence and and I'm not saying to go and chop forests down, but maybe it's like we replant the forest that we have chopped down, but as we replant it, we're looking at our food production, or we're looking at our timber production and looking at sustainable native timbers rather than fast growing pine timber that we send overseas. Or, you know, I don't want to go into it too much.
No,
I understand. So that's where I've got to be where I am today, I think.
And there was something you said to me once about, you know, the conservation being all well and good, and you're really proud of all the effort that goes into it, but then often nature is there to be used as well.
Yeah. And from a purist conservationist point of view, you'd be like, no way. But it's our existence is part of the system that we live in, and
it's symbiotic kind of.
Yeah. And a national park is kind of seen as a place to go, or our native forest is a place to go. It's not a place to be, or a place to dwell, or a place to exist. And that, traditionally, it has been, I suppose, in Māori culture, and you know, we're trying to bring some of that back, I suppose, to some degree. But I don't know how it would look, but we need to be looking at the way we live our lives and the way we heal our planet. Whoa, it's heavy.
Oh no, I mean, it's all about, I think it's all about balance.
It's true.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a great believer of balance. You know, one of the biggest heroes of my life is this guy called Coach Wooden, who was the most successful basketball coach ever. He coached UCLA. He lived until he was about 96 or something. I think he was still attending games, but he was well known as one of the most successful coaches. And there are a number of things he did, and one of them was around balance. And he would say, people used to ask him, well, wouldn't you like a 7-foot tall right wing and a 7-foot tall left wing? And he said, no, I'd rather have a 6'9" right wing and a 5'11" left wing, then I've got balance. And it was just an incredible quote from the guy. I recommend anybody who's listening to, you know, look him up, Coach John Wooden, just a very, very wise man. But he instilled in me that idea of balance, and I kind of, in my youth and in my gardening, I'm trying to search for that, and that's one of the things I love about talking with you, because you're very much in line with that thinking, aren't you?
Yeah, and life is definitely a balance. You know, we've got a young girl, and she's, you know, just coming into a toddler age, and it's like trying to balance that in the mix is huge, and so many people do that and on their paths, but it's trying to balance all these different things you have in your life, and life is so busy, and yeah, it's a good challenge, actually.
So you've always been interested in kind of conservation and permaculture and that kind of thing. You've studied this?
Yep.
Yeah. But your main income comes from building, and so where do you see this taking you, this interest in permaculture? How far do you want to go? Because I'm looking at some of the projects that you've got here. You've got supplying to Puri Rā?
No, so we get food from Puri Rā.
Oh, right.
What I've outlined there is just sort of where, from under the food heading, we've got where we're sourcing our food from, and
right.
We've done away almost, and we could do away completely with supermarkets. Like that, we don't need a supermarket. We've got an addiction for some cheese and some chocolate that we get from, that we get from the supermarket. But otherwise, we could walk away from them. And so, in a way, it's an addiction, isn't it? Like the supermarkets are so convenient. They've got everything. They've got the comforts that as you walk around the supermarket, and
air condition.
Yeah, and so it's a habit that I think we're all conditioned to, and so we're trying to kick that in the butt, but we're not well, we could easily do it, but we're still, and that's the balance, you know, it's the balance coming in. We're busy and it's like, oh shoot, we need some, you know, we need some chocolate. And you pop
Where's
it
the
in
place
there.
to go? Yeah. So you've got, I mean, okay, so this is a list of where you get your food from. So you go to markets, and you have
What
your
markets we have, the Whangarei Growers Markets is awesome. Yeah.
and your garden and orchard at home. Leasing 2 acres that you garden with others. Is that something you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, so we're due to our lifestyle changes, we're stopping that now. Actually,
Right.
as of next week, we're stopping that. But we were doing on a sort of community garden. So we were growing our corn, potatoes, and kumara there. So the sort of bulky things that take up a lot of space.
So that's like a community growing initiative. So it'll keep going, but you're putting up.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. And has that got anything to do with your a 10-acre block?
it does.
It does.
So in that, we've got less time to put into that community garden style of things, and we've decided to sort of take on a 10-acre block. So
what's happening out
Yeah.
there?
we are trying to work out how to farm in a way that we're happy with. So we're trying to get some fencing done, just some fencing that we want to get done, put around native bush that's there and around the estuary that's there.
Yes.
So, and so we want to get that sorted. We want to get all our systems sorted before we kind of start throwing cattle around or whatever animal we choose to put there. And so that's kind of our basics starting, and we'll just grow from there, I think.
And you're always a thinker. You're always thinking ahead. I noticed on your section there when I went to visit, you had some natives growing, young ones. That's for your block?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so we've got 2,500 natives to go out onto the block this winter. So yeah, you've got to be thinking ahead and thinking about what you need, and growing it from seed saves a lot of money, and it also brings a lot more satisfaction. Yeah.
Yeah, it means you're much cleverer than I am. A lot of people like me just go to the nursery and buy them. It costs a fortune. That's why we don't do it, because it's too expensive. But
Yeah.
get the knowledge and
Wow, it's plants want to grow, and sowing a seed isn't hard, and often
Is it?
it's not. It's the sowing of the seed's really easy, and it's just keeping that plant as it's turning from a seed into a seedling, keeping it moist, and the food's in the compost or the soil or whatever you're using to grow the seed in, and it's really easy. And often it's just not keeping it moist. If it dries out once, it can be. Some plants, it can be
That's
detrimental to it. So, yeah.
actually, I know how detrimental that can be. We have a peach tree, and it dropped a seed, and I was so delighted. It grew into a tiny little tree, and I gleefully grabbed this tree and went to plant it out the back, and I was halfway through doing it, and I forgot, and that was the end. No water, no seedling.
But simple though, eh?
Not complex at all.
Yeah.
My fault. Chickens and ducks for eggs and meat. So the chickens, I'm guessing, are layers, and the ducks are for the meat, or how does it
No,
work?
it's both. So the ducks lay eggs as well, and the chickens lay eggs. So we eat those, and then we eat the birds. When they get to a point where they're not laying as well as they should or could, then we sort of decide that they should be in the freezer. So we, pluck them and put them in the freezer.
So how long does that take roughly? A duck would lay for, a chicken would lay for maybe 3-4 years?
Yeah, in a commercial sort of operation, it's kind of 1-2 years that they'll get out of them, where they'll get egg laying out of them, and then they'll pass them on. They'll still lay, and the eggs get bigger and bigger, and but they get less frequent. So from a commercial point of view, they get rid of them at that point. But
Is that why all the eggs in the supermarket boxes are so small?
yeah, well that's right. It's because they can get more eggs. They can sell more eggs. And that's how it rolls. And so so a chicken will lay from most of its life, I suppose. There's a point where they'll stop. But so you get 3 or 4 years of laying out of a chicken. 4 would be pushing it, I think. But yeah.
We've we just lost a chicken. I believe what happened was that an egg or 3 might have got stuck in it.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can do about that?
Yeah, you can massage them out. We've never done it. We thought we had a chicken that had that issue. So yeah, you can sort of massage it out, put them in baths, like Epsom salt baths, I think it is, and you just
Just
soak
like
their bum in
people,
it.
really, are they?
Well, in a way. So yeah, that's something that can be fixed, and most sort of conditions for a chicken can be fixed. Yeah.
Yeah, we lost our chicken. She was very, very sad for a day or two, and we were like thinking, oh, I don't know what to do about this. And then I went out one morning this week, and she was just in her bed, and that was it.
Yeah.
She wasn't breathing. So there are things that we could have tried.
Yep. And we always try, but you know, we've lost a number of chickens and ducks as well, and we don't know why or what's happened. But you know, we're in an urban section, and we have to keep them in confined spaces. You know, it's quite a big area, but it's still confined, and so you know, the density of poultry units, as we say, is quite high, I suppose. We've got 12, and well, we can have up to 12, but not quite at the moment. But yeah, so but they've got pretty much a third of the property to roam. So.
And ducks, similar sort of production as the chickens in terms of years, or different?
They live a little bit longer, and they tend to they lay about the same. Some breeds lay about the same number, like you sort of 300 eggs a year when they're in their peak. So it's a lot of eggs. The only thing is with ducks is that you need water, and so water is the key thing, and they like to make the water dirty, so you have to have a system of keeping that clean. We're lucky we catch the water off the roof, the rainwater, and we catch our grey water from the kitchen sink and from the shower and things like that, and we put that back into the ground. And with the rainwater we feed that water, we put that through to the ducks and obviously to the garden. But so we have a constant supply of water to the ducks, and we just turn a tap and it drains their bath and fill it up again.
And is that how you deal with, you know, so you don't put chlorine from tap water into your garden because you have your own system?
Yeah, that's right.
So the grey water, do you use any special cleaning chemicals or soaps or anything that aren't going to harm the soil? Is there a trick to that?
Yeah, so we don't put anything down that's going to kill the soil. So most of your cleaning products, apart from some brands, and we're lucky nowadays that there's quite a few brands that are out there that are designed for it, and you know, the eco store's the classic that we see, and it's a local Malcolm Rands who's from Whangarei, and yeah, so and his whole aim was about how he could put his washing machine water onto his garden without killing it, and so that was the core of
You read that book too?
Yeah.
A great book.
It's brilliant. Yeah. We're doing really good things. Yeah.
Love Mr. Rands. He's pretty cool. Dumpsters?
Yeah, not so much recently, but we spent a lot of time in my younger years in the back of supermarkets in the dumpsters, and that was a big source of food for ourselves and our flatmates, and we spent a lot of time in the UK, and yeah, great fun, and a little bit of mischief, I suppose you could say, but incredible. Anything you see on the supermarket shelf will end up in a dumpster.
Yeah?
Everything, from alcohol through to, you know, anything. It's the whole lot.
I'm trying to educate myself on all of this stuff, and I've been watching a number of videos on YouTube about a whole lot of stuff, including you know, how to build up a pantry and all this kind of thing, keeping things for long term and what lasts and what doesn't. And this one lady I was watching last night said that a lot of the expiry dates on cans you can ignore.
Well, I'm no scientist, I don't know, but it's like the way we looked at it was that an expiry date is like an insurance policy for the company making it, and they're going to do things on the cautionary side. And it's also a technique of having a higher turnover of food on a supermarket shelf. So, you know, that's being skeptical about it, but that's I think a bit of the reality of what's happening. And so fresh food's different, but when it's packaged and when it's been, you know, heaps of preservatives and but that was kind of probably the biggest driving force away from the dumpsters, was actually we don't want to be eating this food. It's a lot of the stuff is just not what we want to be eating. So yeah, Loving your tea. Thank
You
you.
loving it?
Herbal tea.
I'm very proud of this tea. It's so what happened is, you know, I like markets too, and I work with a Tour Buskers, which is a market family band, and one of the markets we play at is Mangatapiri. Do you go out there?
No.
It's I don't suppose the apples and the pears and the vegetables are any different from any other market, but Mangatapiri has a number of really nice aspects to it. One of them is Tour Buskers performing there. They're the first Sunday of every month. The other thing is the cafe out there, the office. Good coffee if you drink coffee, which you probably don't.
Oh, we do.
You do.
We use it as a tool. It's a great tool. When you don't drink it every day and then you have a sip of coffee, wow.
Get some. So when it's performance
like
time and you're feeling a little bit laggy,
absolutely, it's a tool to be used.
it's like rocket fuel blast off. Well, it's great out at the office, and they also have a lot of crafts and just really nice people. And one of the people there said he was closing up, nice guy, and he said, "Oh, here's a lemon balm plant." And I said, "Oh, how much is it?" He said, "No, mate. This good music. You just take it. I'm happy for you to take it." And I said, No, you're here working, and I'm not taking it. And I gave him some money for it. And I took this lemon balm plant home, and boy, it's just gone crazy. I planted it in the small place where the chickens used to live, and it was about the size of a small teapot, and it's just almost trying to take over. But boy, it makes the yummiest beverage.
No, it does.
And I love going out to the garden and just picking the leaves and putting it in a teapot, and it's a drink.
Yeah, it's great. And so is that a weed?
Not to me.
There we go.
Is this supposed to, do people think of it as a weed?
Some people do. Yeah, it gets away.
They're crazy.
Yeah. They just got to drink more tea.
So what else can you, because in Auckland I had this neighbour, he was actually my landlord, and he had this garden, and it was just full of stuff that you could make tea with. And he made all sorts of different concoctions. So what makes a good tea? Lemon balm's pretty good. What else?
Lemon balm's good. I think any of the herbs you can make a good tea out of. My partner's really into it, and she makes a lot of tea, or has done. But yeah, any of the herbs can make a good tea, and it's even making it in a cold water drink as well. Like things like rosemary, and they all have good properties, and I can't recite them, but there's benefits from having herbal teas as well. So, different times of the day, different energy levels that you have or want, and yeah, it's really is quite straightforward in a way once you know the kind of basics of it.
So my wife is a naturopath, and she knows all this stuff, but what you know and what you do can be different, right? So we drink a lot of store-bought tea and store-bought coffee and all that kind of stuff. Is probably really bad for us. But there was one week there where I just couldn't handle coffee and I couldn't handle tea. And so I just went, you know what, I'm just going to drink this lemon balm stuff. Now the whole family came down with colds and flus, and I didn't.
Wow.
And I don't know if it was the tea or not, but talk about rocket fuel.
Yeah, or just your immunity, you're building your immune system up.
Maybe.
There's just so many plants, any plant you can eat, you can make a tea out of it in a way. And some of our favourites are manuka. So yeah, and that's a really nice kind of alternative to our typical black tea.
Just the leaves?
Just the leaves, yep. And just putting them in a cup. And the key with manuka, just like tea I suppose, if you leave it in there too long it becomes a bit bitter, so it's kind of dunking it in there until you've got the strength you need and then pulling it out. So, and that is with quite a few herbal teas, I think, that you have to kind of time it right.
Yeah, oh, that's cool. So, all right, what else have we got here? We've got bees, 8 hives at present. Now, I know you're a man of great integrity, and you believe in doing the right thing when it comes to looking after your bees. Tell us about the bees, 8 hives.
Yeah, it's something that I've only been doing for 4 or so years, and I just get more and more excited. Bees are just incredible and serve such an important purpose. And so all of my bees at the moment are urban bees, and so they're living in our wonderful city of Whangarei and harvesting from everyone's lovely gardens. So that's what they do, and I'm trying to do it as organic as I can in the sense of the treatment. So we've got some pretty horrific diseases in New Zealand now, due to things coming in on different bee products and bees. So we have to treat the hives, and different techniques of doing that organically, and so that's what I'm sort of playing around with. And I leave honey on the hives over the winter to feed them, and I throw a few frames in the freezer, so if a hive gets a little bit down on food, I'll pull it out of the freezer and defrost it and then give it to the hive.
So you're very kind to your bees, and not all beekeepers necessarily would do that.
No, and beekeeping's got a bit ugly in Northland. It's due to the money. It's the money that's driving it. And what's happening is people are trying to produce as much honey as they can with a minimal amount of effort or input. And it's not good for the bees. It's not good for our forests. And the examples are the Manuka forests, where we seem to have an attraction for the Manuka honey, and for obvious reasons. But that there's studies now that are showing that we're taking too much nectar from the Manuka that's having an impact on those ecosystems, and so we're not sort of seeing any radical change in legislation around that, and it's a hard thing to manage, but we're just again pillaging another system like we're doing with a lot of other farming systems that we currently have. So it's all about maximizing profit and whatever it takes, and so that's
right. I heard some high intense farming of any nature. I heard one person say, it was a couple of years ago now, when the farmers were having a drought, and this person said, it's not a drought, it's called summer. Now, I don't know if they were right or wrong, but they were from a farming background, they would know more than I would, but that was their take on it. It's not a drought, it's summer. If they weren't farming so intensively, this could be negotiated. It has been in the past.
That's right.
Mother Nature will look after you if you take the right steps, but when you try and squeeze more out of it than what is actually there, then a summer becomes a drought, is what she was saying.
Yeah, no, I believe that too, and I'm not a farmer. We're trying to become somewhat of farmers, but just a high intensity, any use of land and a high intensity is going to have an impact. And in New Zealand, we're the biggest users of palm kernel extract in the world, and we're feeding it to our cows. And so our cows are, I'm digressing here, but our cows are being supplemented with their feed from something that's overseas. We're importing that in. And so as soon as you have a drier period, they'll increase that palm kernel extract. They'll bring more of that into the country and to feed the cows. And so that's not sustainable in the sense that you've got high numbers of cows on the land and importing that feed. So I'm not an expert in that field, but it doesn't seem the permaculture approach to me either. No, and I don't think it's a traditional farming approach either. It was making hay, making silage. That was your food sources when times were tough. A lot of farmers still use that, but the PKE is becoming a core feed. What is a core feed in a large number, a majority, I would say, of farms in New Zealand. We're talking shiploads and shiploads coming into the country.
You mentioned laws to try and balance things out. I don't know, there was a time where people would just do the right thing.
Yeah, well, I think we can still do the right thing, and the laws are there as a guidance, I suppose, and sometimes we have to break laws in order to do the right thing. And there's prime examples of that in history where people have broken laws to do the right thing, and I think we're in a time where we have to do more and more of that. And the classic example is lots of examples of it, but the one I forget her name, crikey, mind blank. Anyway, in the States back in the 60s, I think it was, and a lady whose name I forget went in and sat she was a black woman, and she sat in the white people's area on the bus, and she was told she had to leave, and she refused to leave, and then she got arrested, and she was held accountable for it. But that one action where she was doing the right thing when the law said she couldn't do it, but she thought she was right. And a lot of people claim that that was the start of the civil rights movement, was her doing that one action. And I think that's really important to think about. It's just that, you know, doing the right thing can sometimes be more important than following the law.
And I can't substantiate this story, but I did hear there was once a concert that Elvis Presley walked out on because there was some sort of issue with the blacks not being allowed there, or not, or having to be in a certain place, or there was some kind of issue, and he just said, "Well, I'm not performing," and that was it. You know,
Wow.
so you know.
Powerful.
Yeah, yeah. When I grow up, I want to be like Elvis Presley.
You're growing up, Wade.
Oh, dang! You're the first person that's pointed that out to me. Now, so we've talked about the bees. You purchase all pantry essentials, being whole grains, nuts, and dried fruit, soaps and oils from
Co-op that we run, and that my partner is part of, and there's quite a few people, and it's a way that we get a lot of our food. And so it's it's a really nice community of people who come together to purchase food cooperatively, in a way that benefits all, from the growers through to the purchasers. And that's a key relationship, I think, is between the growers and the purchasers.
And I so want to be part of that. I actually went down today and had a look, and I was blown away. Kate makes a number of skin creams with herbs. They're herbally medicated skin creams, if I'm allowed to say that. I don't know. But they produce amazing results. You know, she makes an eczema cream that people can't get enough of, and you know, bless her soul, someone will say, well, I need your eczema cream, and she'll say, well, let's find out what you're allergic to, then you won't need my eczema cream. And they'll go, oh, no, I just like eating whatever I feel like at the time, I'll just buy the cream. She says, well, okay, you know, but she tries to talk them out of the cream. No, there's a problem, let's fix the problem. They say, don't want to fix the problem, I just want the cream. Okay. And it's phenomenally successful. And I saw a lot of ingredients down there at that co-op today that she would use. And I saw a lot of stuff down there that I would love to use, but there is a system. It is like a membership, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what happens. People join the co-op, and then they have to partake in the co-op, and that's, you know, it's not a huge commitment at all. And and then collectively we can make it a nice place to be, and also a nice place to get our food, rather than lining up at the supermarket with our supermarket trolleys.
Oh, it's a very nice place. I mean, there's families and kids, and there's no stress. It's very calm, and it's quietly organised, and it's a no fuss place. You just go there, and so I am going to join. I am going to go along there. It's every 2 weeks, so I think it was Saturday today. I think it's 2 weeks on a Wednesday next week.
That's right. Yeah. So the second Wednesday of the month, and then the last Saturday of the month.
Okay. So. And then members obviously help out on market days.
That's right. Yep. And it's a rostered system, so usually once a year.
Yep. And I can that's right. It's not a lot of work for such a great for any individual, for such a great opportunity.
Yeah, that's right.
I think it's fabulous. So how long has that been going now?
Probably 4, maybe 5 years. So yeah, it started really, really small, a few people, and then it's grown to, I don't know the membership now, but it's a busy place.
Well, it was bustling, and I saw some people down there that I recognised from other circles of life, and I was thinking, you know about this? Why didn't you tell me?
Yeah.
But I found out from you, so that's all good. Now you bake rye sourdough bread once a week.
Yep. And that's something my partner, who's amazing. She's awesome in the kitchen and just loves it, and she's just very hands-on in the garden and everything. So it's
was that the loaves at the co-op? No.
No, not this time.
No, not this time.
Yeah.
Okay. And Raw Milk Cooperative, where raw organic milk gets delivered to the back door, and also organic bananas. Where are they grown?
So they grow, well, there's a few places they grow, but mainly in Ecuador is the organic bananas, and so we get those through a supplier in Auckland, couriers them up, and then we distribute them. So it's kind of taking out that middle man who's clipping the ticket on the way through on our food, and it's a big clip of the ticket.
It is a big clip. I've come to the conclusion, I believe, a lot of that middleman clip is about paying for the real estate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, big shops, big rentals, basically landlords clipping the ticket on our food.
Yeah, right. Wow.
I mean,
but a lot of this, the food outlets, like especially the supermarkets, would own their own real estate, wouldn't they? Like,
yes, but that real estate gets ever increasingly more expensive, doesn't it?
That's true.
You know, and when you want to refinance your mortgage, what do?
Yeah.
You know, you borrow a bit more money.
Yeah.
Who pays for that? Whoever's paying for the products that are sold there. You know, you can look at importing something from China. I know a person here who imports a stationery product from China. It costs him nothing. He's virtually giving it away to certain business hubs that he belongs to, and it's part of endearing himself into the groups, and we love him and he loves us, and it's brilliant, but it costs him nothing. You go to a stationery shop and buy that thing, it'll be $7-8. So why? Well, a lot of expenses in that kind of business.
Yeah, and we're seeing a real shift, aren't we, that shops are becoming not so popular maybe as they used to be. It used to be the core of it, you know, Thursday night shopping, Friday night shopping, whatever it was, and it, you know, the cities were humming. Oh. But now it's
stubby shorts.
Yeah, but now we're at home in our pajamas, you know, shopping online, and it's, you know, it's different. Things are changing.
It's fabulous. Now you make at home Caspian sea yogurt.
Yeah.
Kombucha and water kefir. The nectar of the gods.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get some of that from you. I know I said that before, but I really mean it. I need to get some from you.
They're good things. Like they're all cultures that are. And the Caspian sea yogurt's a great one. It's one that you don't need to heat the yogurt, or heat the milk, and it's at room temperature. So, and what you're getting is just those cultures that are in the milk, turning it into yogurt. It just thickens it up overnight. Really, really easy.
Now I'm not sure what kombucha is.
Kombucha's again, it's a culture, and what you have is a SCOBY on the top, and that's the thing that transforms the sugars, because you add a sugar to it, either honey, whatever. Most people use sugar and tea, and that can be herbal teas or normal teas, and there's even a kombucha now that's coffee, that's fed on coffee. So there's some people who are trialing that at the moment up here. It's all very exciting.
That's awesome. I can't wait.
Yeah. But yeah, so again, it's something that's beneficial, that the sugars are eaten by that SCOBY. Yeah.
And obviously to assist in your your infant is fed naturally, which is brilliant. But to assist in your food production, you have worm farms, compost.
Yeah.
All working for you.
Yeah. Big part of it, and that there's no waste. We waste from our place. We would have a supermarket bag probably every 2 to 3 weeks. We would have from our household. So it's
no packaging to throw out all the time.
Yeah, that's key. Yeah.
Now, okay, no packaging, but your wife does a lot of preserving of some of the crops. And your pantry is just wall-to-wall yummy food.
Yeah, and it's a good time to be there. Like, it's storing for the winter. You know, a high productive time has been now, and so you've got to store those foods for the winter. So it's a lot of tomatoes and so forth that are being preserved.
One thing that your wife said to me was, I said, "Wow, harvesting, that's a lot of work." And she said, "No, that's the fun bit. It's the preserving that comes after." And I was like, "What? There's more work?" So, is there a way to streamline this, or is it just a matter of just get on and do it?
Well, we don't have a TV. Our evenings are kind of productive in some way. Generally, not always, but we try and kind of do a little bit, and it's an interesting sort of balance. You're trying to bring those things in, and often I think the key with gardening and preserving or having cultures on the bench, it's a little bit often rather than a huge amount in one day, and that's the key. Especially once your systems are set up and things are humming, that it's just a little bit often goes a long way. And so, you know, my partner, she's just had been trying making vinegar out of the feijoa skins. So, you know, there's still a lot of juicy goodness in the feijoa skins, and so it's kind of put them in a bucket, feed them some honey or sugar, and then let it ferment. And yeah, again, you kind of
that easy.
It's that easy. Yeah, it just takes time. Again, it's you know, a little bit of time to prepare it and to put it all in a bucket, but then it's just a little bit of time to keep it going and keep it fed, and well, you don't need to feed it, but just then putting it into jars. And the same with the honey, we're turning it. Well, exactly. It's a little bit often, and so that's what feeds us, I think, is a little bit often.
I think a lot of this has been lost, you know. You know, and I used to scoff and think it was really funny when people thought that steak came from the supermarket, and I'd be, huh, what are kids learning these days? But you know what? I'm not so brilliant either, because I'm learning stuff from you every second.
That's what life's about, isn't it? It doesn't end. And yeah, I'm learning stuff every day too, and by no means I'm an expert at it.
So where does a guy like you go for information? Do you watch YouTube videos? What do you do?
No, just networks of people. Like a lot of our friends and you know, colleagues are sort of in that game as well, and you have lots of conversations and sharing plants or seeds, and it's not a big part of our lives, that, but it is a little bit. And you know, last night I was having a conversation with a friend who's down at Mangawhai, and you know, he's doing similar to what we're doing, and he's, you know, you just half an hour on the phone and you can gain a lot, and it's, you know, it's that general chit chat catch up, but it's not talking about the celebrities that are on TV or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I've tried this, and you know, you never get through everything that you're doing or trialing, but you sort of share those stories. And yeah, there's a really good permaculture network in New Zealand, and that we're kind of tapped into, and luckily enough that we're hosting the National Permaculture Hui in Kaiwaka, so it's in Northland next year. So looking forward to that. Yeah, that'll bring all the hippies out of the hills.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there with me flares and me. Yeah. What time of year would that be?
So it's this time. It's just happened 2 weekends ago. So usually it's Labour weekend. No, NZ weekend, I should say.
Okay. And we talked about the transporting, the walking, the cycle. Now, reduced power consumption, solar power connected to the grid. How difficult was that to kind of
put together? Being in the building industry, I have friends who are electricians, and you know, we got to install. He installed the solar, and I helped him, and then I put a washer room on his house in return. And so, you know, we were lucky there, and so we cut our costs, I suppose, down. But it's funny. It's a very political game at the moment. The solar. It's something that the power companies are dead scared about, because they're losing customers like mad. And so, because people are turning to solar or to alternative energies, and it means that customers have a bit of autonomy over their power consumption and not under the thumb of the power company. And so
I think they deserve it. They've been quite ruthlessly mercenary about the whole thing, and I think, you know, it's time to strike back.
Yeah, and you know, it's just technology's kind of catching up with things all the time, and the key thing at the moment is the storage of energy. And so at the moment we're storing our energy in the grid effectively. So we feed back into the grid, and then we draw from the grid when we need it, which is, you know, quite often that the sun's not shining and we need electricity. So
a credit and a debit.
That's right, yeah. But what they're paying back now, not when we installed it, but now, is very, very little. So we don't get much back for what we're producing. It may change, or the technology's there now where battery storage is going to be the game changer, and it is happening on a sort of global scale, and you know, a lot of countries are leading the way, but we seem to be in New Zealand dragging our heels, and we've got a different dynamic in regards to our electricity, that we've got dams that are producing a lot of our electricity, and that's seen as being sustainable, and I think it's more so than a lot of other things. But the problem that we've got, and totally understand this, and that's when, you know, if we've all got solar and then the clouds roll in, all of a sudden that power that we're using has to come from somewhere else, and it's really hard to just flick a switch and to suddenly have a huge amount of power come into an area.
So as usual, it's about a cooperative arrangement.
Yeah, that's right. And that's the great thing. Like, we're producing power for our household, and so we use it before it goes back to the grid. And then the way electricity works is that it goes to the next biggest user, which is our neighbour. But if we're selling it to the power company, and then they're selling it to the neighbour. So if we worked cooperatively and we were onto it, we'd just run a lead over to the neighbour's place and plug it into their freezer, and that's the kind of technology that'll be the game changer, I think, is the storage and then the way that we use it. And
the distribution. So you, again, just take out the middleman.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
Stop them putting that ticket. All right, so that's the power. Now you do keep things ethical, and you are passionate about doing things the right way.
It is a big part of it, and it's really hard. Decisions that you make about what you're purchasing, what you're spending money on, and what you're supporting, and that's effectively what you're doing when you spend money, I suppose, is you're supporting something. And when we do that, we just make a conscious decision. Okay, like this $1, this $10, this $100, whatever you're spending, is going to support something. And so if you can keep that local, or if you can keep that organic, or you can keep it within your morals, it's fair trade, whatever that is important to you, it's really, really powerful, especially when we start cooperating again, or collectively working together to go, actually, I don't want to spend money on that, I want to spend it on this because this feels right, this is right. And so that, if we were to work together as a community, we could really change things, I think, the power of that spending.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. We won't talk too much about money. I have philosophies on it myself, but I think you've covered that quite well. Wetback fire. Wetback fire. Where did you get one of those? Did you make it yourself?
No, it was in the house when we bought it 4 years ago, and it was a bit of a selling point, actually, was the wetback fire. And in the winter we flicked the hot water cylinder off and we just used the wood from our fire to, it feels good.
Are you using a fire yet?
Not yet.
Not cold.
We hold off. We're those staunch kind of. We'll hold off till
sitting here in a t-shirt and shorts.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my longs and my.
That's the other benefit of riding a bike, isn't it? You get a little bit hot under the collar.
Oh, that's fabulous. And the last thing that you watch is your purchases. I like your style. This here was one of the last items of clothing I ever bought. It was like $3 from an op shop, and I've had it for 4 years.
Worth it.
And I love it. Yeah, you don't have to buy a shirt for $70, do you really?
No, there's plenty of alternatives out there, and there's people who have that money and willing to buy a shirt for $70, but in 3 years' time they've had enough of that shirt. And there's, we're lucky in Whangarei that we've got a number of op shops that
we've got some fabulous ones.
They are.
And in fact, everybody knows that I teach people to go and find work, find jobs. And one of the big things about an interview is presenting yourself. And some of the advice I give is that you'll likely get more value from a $12 second-hand shop from hospice than you will from I don't want to name businesses, but you can go buy a new shirt for $15, $20 and it lasts one wash. So some of those things in those op shops are high quality, and they're like, you don't have to buy them, but they're at least worth a look.
Yeah, that's right, and I agree. And we, not so much now, but used to spend a little bit of time. You've got to be there regularly, I think, to find the things. But it's an awesome thing that's happening, and I wish there was a bit more of it, actually. Like, the op shops are very selective in what they put out, and there's a lot that goes to rags or ends up in landfill and things because they perceive it not being sellable, and that's totally understandable. They're running a business of sorts, but yeah, it'd be nice to sort of see more on the shelves, I think. And
I have this. Through marriage, my wife has this auntie who has this awesome dairy called the Bush Fairy Dairy.
As in a dairy, like
Yeah, it's like a dairy. It's called a bush fairy dairy. That's what they call it, the bush fairy dairy. Google it. It's awesome. But they have one of the many things they have up there is a box where people just come along and bring clothes. People go sifting through. If there's anything they want, they can have it.
That's fantastic,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And if you're ever up in the sort of Peria area, you want to look up the Bush Fairy Dairy. It's probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes out of Kaitaia, so it's a long way north. It's up now. That beach up there's Cooper's Beach, isn't it? Yeah, it's about 5 minutes from there, but well worth it. Gluten-free food. It was a little bit like the co-op market. They had bins of whole grains, and it's all organically grown and locally produced. And they even have CDs from local artists. They record CDs and they put you can anything. You can buy anything. They have people that track possums and they make bags and things. Just a real community spot, and it's got a coffee machine and a cafe there, and a little internet computer as well, so if you want to go online and check for, I don't know, jobs or emails or whatever, you can. But the coffee shop is fantastic, and they've even created an outdoor, I think it's got a bit of work to go, but an outdoor kind of stage area where if people want to sit around jamming with guitars, it's just a real community hangout.
Yeah, nice. That's great. It sounds like that classic general store, right? That everything happens at the general store. Awesome. Period. That's where it is. Period.
Yeah, it's called the Bush Fairy Dairy. Look it up. Well, James, that's kind of what I was gonna say now. So, where do you see this taking you? You've got your 10-acre block, and you're going to grow your food sources out there.
Yeah, and we're kind of in a little bit of juxtaposition, I suppose. It's like being in town is so nice, convenient, and easy, and things are handy, and people are handy, and it's you can go and visit people really easily, and so moving out into the country is a total different way of living. And so I think we would see ourselves going out there and trialing that style of living, and then make a call on
see what you prefer
for us. Yeah.
Your daughter will love it.
Yeah, I think we all will. That fresh air. It's kind of it's great. But
how far away is it?
So it's 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
It's a long way on the scale of things compared to what we are now.
You'd have to use the diesel vehicle that you run on Fish and Chipper with.
Yeah, that's right. An electric vehicle, I think that'll be the key. Yeah, the game changer.
Yeah, I think it comes as you were talking about the power before with electric vehicles. I think it comes to energy storage with that as well, because I was down at the Canopy Bridge markets a couple of weeks back, and they had a lot of electric vehicles there, and someone was talking to someone who was demonstrating the vehicles. And this person said, "Oh, so what's the range?" And the person confidently said, 120. And the customer said, kilometres. Like, I couldn't even get to Auckland. But I guess if you're doing short trips, it's ideal, isn't it?
Yeah, but also it's a different way of operating again. You just have to change the behaviour of how we drive, and it just means that if you're driving to Auckland, you have to stop off at Kaiwaka at the fast charger, or Wellsford at the charger there, and you have a cup of tea, or you have a break from the journey and charge your vehicle in 20 minutes, and then you're back on the road and you're in Auckland.
Time your trip to Auckland for Anzac weekend, and you can stop and do the
fast charge.
Yeah, but that event that you were saying.
Oh right, yeah, the permaculture hui.
Yeah, just time it for that.
Yeah.
Say no more trips to Auckland in an electric car until the permaculture hui is on.
Well, those electric
talk about
vehicles
planning.
The electric vehicles are changing as well, though. It's the technology and the best of the electric vehicles. They've got a range of 400k. So.
Oh really? Oh, that's much bigger.
Yeah, that's right.
Very usable.
And 0 to 100k's in 3.2 seconds, I think it is, which is outstripping the best road car off the road. So
that's what this lady who was presenting this electric car said. She was saying, dragging someone off from the lights, you'll cane them. It's like, wow.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm not a petrol head, but there's a lot of petrol heads in town, especially at the moment. Man, that rally, wow.
Oh, yeah. In fact, another guest I've got coming on, he's photographing the underside of those cars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
As an
he was
artist or
he was going to come in and he was going to interview tonight as well, but I've pre-recorded it here. We'll play it soon, but he's got to go in and film the different parts of the car, so that, like for example, he'll photograph, say, something in the engine bay, and someone will say, "Well, see that part there? That's not working for us, or that's pretty flimsy, or that's not reliable enough. We've got to," and so it's that kind of. He's photographing it so that the engineers can have a look at the performance and upgrade them. And
yeah, right.
it's all to do with performance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Imagine all that energy going into, I don't know, electric vehicles too, eh? Like, whoa. Anyway.
Hey, it's like we were talking about. I think it's just a matter of being able to store the energy.
That's right.
And then we'll be there.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, I'm sure the very first petrol-powered car probably didn't have a great range or a great top speed. So the electric cars already progressed further than that. They're very quick.
Yeah.
Well, that was cool. Now, if anybody needs to, if anybody has any small building projects, they're mostly interior fit-outs, right?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of commercial internal fit-outs, so it's a lot of offices actually that we seem to be doing a lot of work in, and yeah, maintenance kind of work. And yeah, I just have been working on word of mouth, and that has been working fantastic for me. And so I haven't got a website up and running yet, although we're kind of sort of working on that. But yeah, we're just kind of keeping it simple. Yeah.
So if anybody needs to, engage with you about that kind of project, or maybe wants to find out more about permaculture, or maybe wants to find out more about the co-op, is there a way that they can sort of engage with your team of people? How can they contact you guys?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't do Facebook really. It's
just keep your eyes open.
Yeah, that's right. We're around town.
Keep your eyes open. That's
yeah,
cool.
Keep it local, and you'll see us.
All right. Well, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we haven't covered yet?
No, just thanks for having us tonight, Wayne. No, it's awesome. It's cool to be at this end of it, and we listen to Beagle most days. The radio's tuned in, and we just turn it on in the morning, and often turn off at night, and Beagle's there all day, so it's cool. It's great.
Thank you for supporting us. We really appreciate that. Well,
Mint,
man, and I'm glad you came along, and I appreciate you taking the time. And I'll be picking your brains about the water kefir.
No worries. Go well.
You're with Beagle Radio. We'll be back in just a moment. With Life Skills Patrol on Beagle. If you want to contact the station manager, please email info@beagleradio.co.nz. Requests can be made through the website www.beagleradio.co.nz, or you can email them through to bark@beagleradio.co.nz. You can also Skype beagle.radio881. We've got Adam here with Engaging Computers, the Computer Corner. Adam, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Now, would you like to let everybody know what your company is called and how they can get hold of you for your services?
My company is fcad.tech, EFCAD Technologies. You can visit our website at fcad.tech. Today we'll be talking about storage. PC storage can come in many different forms and capacities. The main forms are SSD, solid state drives, HDD, hard disk drives, hybrids, which is an SSD and a hard drive mixed together, a USB, and you can also burn information onto DVD and discs. With a hard drive, with hard disk drives and external hard drives, the capacities can vary from 160 gigabytes to 3 terabytes, which is approximately 3,000 gigabytes. Most connectors in the computer are usually USB 2.0 or 3.0, don't really need to go into that. Internal hard drives use SATA connectors, also don't really need to go into that. So some advantages of the normal hard drive is it's a very good option for local backups of large amounts of data, because it's very reliable due to its magnetic construction. It's the cheapest storage option in terms of dollars per gigabyte. Very reliable when handled with care. The disadvantage is that it can be very delicate. It if it's damaged, or if it's dropped, it can be damaged, or if there's a really bad electrical surge, it can possibly be dead. Solid state drives. Solid state drives look and function similar to traditional or mechanical magnetic hard drives, but the similarities stop there. Internally, they are completely different. They have no moving parts or rotating platters. Instead, they rely on semiconductors and electronics for data storage, making it more reliable and robust than a traditional magnetic hard drive. No moving parts also means that they use less power than traditional hard drives and are much faster too. With the prices of solid state drives coming down and there's lower power usage, SSDs are used extensively on laptops and mobile devices. External SSDs are also a viable option for data backups. The capacities vary between 64 gigabytes to around about 256. Some advantages of the SSD is you get way faster read and write speeds. It's more robust and reliable than a magnetic hard drive. That means you can possibly drop it and it won't die. It's highly portable, very highly portable. They're way smaller than a normal hard drive. The only disadvantages are that it's still relatively expensive when compared to the traditional hard drives, and the storage space is typically lower than a normal hard drive. The next thing is a USB thumb drive or a flash drive. These are similar to solid state, except they're much smaller size and capacity. They have no moving parts, making them quite robust, which means they can be dropped and thrown around. They most likely won't break. They're extremely portable and can fit on pretty much a keychain in your pocket, etc. They're ideal for backing up small amounts of data that need to be brought with you on the go. The capacities are usually 4 to 64 gigabytes. The advantages are usually the most really is just the portability, where you can just chuck it anywhere you want, and it's much more robust. The only disadvantage is that it's relatively expensive per gigabyte, so it can be only used for backing up small amounts of data.
I've got one advantage of those kinds of storage devices.
Yeah, what are those?
Some of them come in pretty funky shapes. I've seen some shaped like racing cars and Green Lantern.
And Bart Simpson.
Bart Simpson.
Yeah, Homer Simpson. Yeah, those are. And a guitar. I saw a guitar one. Those are pretty cool.
Oh!
Anyway, the last form I have is optical drive, or a CD or DVD drive. CD and DVDs are ideal for storing songs, movies, media, or software for distribution, or for giving to a friend due to a very low cost per disc. They do not make good storage options for backups due to their shorter lifespan, because they get scratched and then that can damage some of the files on them. They also have very small storage space and slower read and write speeds. The capacity of a CD is 650 megabytes to 900 megabytes. That's 0.65 of a gigabyte to 0.9 of a megabyte, whereas a normal traditional hard drive goes from anywhere from 160 gigabytes to 3000. The capacity DVD can go from 4.7 gigabytes to 17.808 gigabytes theoretically, in a way. The advantages is, well, the only advantage really is just low cost per disc. The disadvantages are the really short lifespan, and it's not as reliable as the other options like external hard disks and SSDs. One damaged disk in a backup set can make the whole backup unusable.
So if someone has a requirement for storage and they need some advice, where can they go?
They can go to fcad.tech, that's fcad.tech. You can talk to our support team. We'd love to listen to any problems. We can help you fix that. Is there anything you can do to recover data? Not usually. You can back it up on cloud files, on cloud servers and stuff, so you can back up your entire computer online for relatively cheap nowadays.
And you can help anybody with that if they want to ask?
Yeah, sure. I can set that up for you. Anything, really.
Great. Now we're all going to learn how to make the most of our computers if we just keep listening to Adam. You're with Life Skills Patrol on Radio Beagle. Back in a minute. Sarah Lee, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, Wayne. Very very, very lovely to talk today.
Ah, cool. There you go. Third time's always a charm. So now you're from Sarah Lee Studios. So what do you do, Sarah Lee?
I am a portrait photographer. I'm the owner of Sarah Lee Studio, and I specialise in photographing women and making them feel good. So we take everyday ladies and make them look and feel like the sticker on the cover of their favourite magazine.
And you do this every day of the week, don't you, really?
Yeah, not every day. I try to have a day off. But Monday to Saturday we photograph, and we do mothers and daughters, families, people by them, just ladies by themselves, as well as photographing headshots for business owners or anyone who needs professional portraits for use in their own business.
And I know you have a very special way of carrying this off. I know that you do all sorts of neat people things that make people feel really good about the whole experience. So the nice thing is that if somebody needs some nice photos but they're just a little shy or they're just a little not sure about how to go ahead, when you go and see Sarah Lee, you'll be in very good hands. Sarah Lee, how did you get into this?
I took photography as a subject in high school, so for the last 2 years I was at high school, I took it as a subject. I've always been really creative and I love doing art. I just wasn't very good at drawing or painting, and so when photography came up I saw it as something that I could really get into. It was really creative, but it's not necessarily entirely all skill based. There's a lot of, well, there was when it was film, a lot of calculations and just working with the physical side of it as well. So I really just enjoyed photography. I then decided, well, after I finished high school, that I want to carry on into tertiary. So I looked all over New Zealand at all different tertiary courses, and I found Unitec in Auckland did a diploma of contemporary photography, which was one of the only courses in the country that was exclusively photography. Most degrees, like your fine arts, your Bachelor of Fine Arts, you have to do every other art subject, and it's a very general course, whereas I knew I just wanted to do photography, so I decided to pursue the diploma, and I graduated in 2007, and then decided I'd had enough of photography, and I went into hospitality and tourism and retail, and then 3 years ago I wanted to get back to it, so I bought all the equipment, dug deep, and started my own business.
And you know, really, a photographer could choose to photograph anything, couldn't they? They could go up into space, take photos of the earth, they could take photos of waterfalls, they could take photos of sunrises and sunsets, of beaches, of whatever. You do something very, very special that touches hearts. What made you get into the work that you do?
Into portraiture?
Yes.
Well, at university, or at Unitec, which is technically a polytech, we had to do every genre of photography out there, from still life to landscape, studio work on location, both natural light, flash, you name it. We did conceptual work, and really got to try our hand at a whole lot of different ones. And you kind of learn pretty quick what you like or what you're good at, and there's some things that you enjoy more than others, so you just really focus on the ones you want, because there's always got to be work out there. If you love something, you'll find a way to make it happen, and people out there will love it as well. So about 3 years ago I found another photographer, and I really idolised the work she was doing, and I hadn't actually come across that particular type of portraiture before, which is called glamour photography, and I looked at her and I said, I want to do that. I want to make people feel good. I want to be the photographer creating the artwork, and I want to be to the client. I want to have that experience, and I want to give that experience to other people as well. So I really looked at her and said, if she can do it, so can I. So I found out what you have to do to start a business, started the business, and found out everything else you have to do to stay in business, and kind of, and I'm constantly working on it. And glamour photography is something that's really, really rewarding, and it's more than just making women dressing them in hair and makeup and making them look good, it can be really life-changing and helping people feel more confident within themselves too.
So if there was someone who likes the idea of having some glamour portraits taken, but is just a little bit nervous, just isn't sure they can carry it off, you know, those self-doubts start coming in, well, what would you say to them?
Number one, they're not alone. Everyone feels anxious whenever they're put in front of a camera, even myself. I always second guess, what should I do, how should I stand, what does my smile look like? It's normal. And the difference between someone, an everyday snapshot, and say something that you would see on the cover of a magazine is that that person's been told how to stand, they've been told what to wear, they've had their hair and makeup done. And that's what we really do at Cerealy Studio, is we tell you how to stand, we do your hair and makeup, we tell you what to wear, and we really want to bring out the best version of you. So we've got the skills and the experience on how to pose you. We do a lot of laughing in the studio. It's all about keeping you in good spirits and just giving you a moment where you don't have to stress about what you look like, because you've got full confidence that you are looking and feeling beautiful or professional if we're doing professional portraits, and just taking all that uncertainty away from you, because we're taking care of the situation. It's just, all you have to do is stand there, listen, and we'll guide you through the whole thing. So it's our experience that will really help bring out the best in you.
And I'm lucky enough to see evidence of this. So you're a member of a business networking group, aren't you?
Yeah, I joined NRG at the beginning of this year, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I've met incredible people, and I've learned so much from them all, including yourself, and it's wonderful just to chat with other people and realise that as I'm in business by myself, sometimes it feels like I'm the only one out there who's having these troubles, and then you talk to everyone else and you realise it's normal, and that, you know, it's not a big deal, that you can conquer the world too.
Yeah, and and the reason I mention the NRG group is because I do. Every week I see you bring in portraits, and there have been some people that were stunning. I mean, they're always beautiful, and I see them all the time. But it took me a second. You know, they made me look twice, because I looked at it and I went, "Wow, that's a very handsome or beautiful-looking person, and you've captured that really, really well." And then I've gone, wait, I know that person, and you really do help people look their best.
Thank you. It's a very generous thing to say. I always try to do my best.
No, it's true. You're a professional that knows what you're doing. So, if anybody is looking to, can you explain what would the ideal sort of client be for you?
The ideal client for me. Someone who has never had photos of themselves that they love, someone, although it breaks my heart, when people ask me, you know, is there some people out there who just never look flattering in photographs? It's not true. I want to show people out there that have those doubts, that aren't certain, that can't find they're beautiful, that come talk to me, I'll show you how amazing you really are. And so I'm not looking for someone who's a particular age or a particular size, or who likes this thing and doesn't like that thing. I'm just wanting someone out there who believes that they are beautiful, but they want someone to really prove it to them, and I can do that.
And I know you can. I see the evidence every Tuesday over coffee. So, how can somebody get hold of you? Someone's listening and they say, wow, gee, I'd really love that experience. How can they get hold of you?
First place, I would say check out our website. It's www.cerealystudio.co.nz. Cerealy is spelled S-A-R-A-H-L-E-E, and on our website you'll see a behind the scenes video. It'll give you more understanding about what the experience is like. We do multiple outfit changes. It's up to 3 hours long. We've also got lots of before and afters on the website itself. So like you said, Wayne, there's a whole lot of different transformations, and you get to see that it is everyday woman. I don't photograph models, I want to photograph real people. My email address is feelbeautiful@cerealystudio.co.nz, and I'm always available to chat. So my mobile number is 027 459 7280, and I step every client through all stages of the experience. So from helping them choose what to bring in to be photographed in, what outfits they want to wear, through to how they might like their hair and makeup, and then at the end we do an in-person viewing as well. So they actually get to come back and choose what images they want to take home, and we have an a la carte menu, so it's up to them what photos they like and what size they're wanting as well. So we leave everything open, and it's just about making the clients absolutely happy and in love with what they're taking home.
Fabulous. Now, where do you want to take this business? Where do you see yourself going with this?
I would love to be a nationally recognised photographer. I'm a member of the New Zealand Institute of Professional Photographers, and I'm working towards getting accredited with them. And through the national print competitions, you can upskill yourself, and you can go through the ranks all the way through to being a grandmaster of that of the Professional Photographers Institute. So I'd love to get credit and recognition at that level, and have the skills obviously to achieve it. But I think at the moment my biggest goal, and I'm working with other businesses in Whangarei, but I'd love to just bring some glamour back to Northland, just to get women out there and looking good and dressing well, and just bringing a whole lot more excitement into Whangarei, and having feel-good events, and really just boosting the morale of all the ladies around town.
And it's also a professional thing to do, isn't it? I mean, I've had a look at professional photos of people, and I've thought, wow, it looks like something Sarah Lee's taken, and I've asked you, and you've gone, yep, I took that. You have a way of making people look wow, and it's very recognisable. So, the professional side of things, what are some of the professions that could use your services?
Oh, that's a good one. I try to train it for as many different people as possible, but if you're looking for professional headshots and you don't want a photograph that just looks like everyone else's, I do see a lot of headshots out there, and from looking at them, they look like regular everyday people, but you just can't tell what industry they're in. You have no idea what business they work for. So I really try and tailor each headshot package to the person and the skill set they've got, or the people that they work with, and what business and industry they're in. So if you want images that stand out, that look professional, and that look different from everybody else's, come talk to me. I'm definitely here to work with you, and anyone that just wants to look the best version of them, that's what we're all about.
Absolutely. I know that's true. I see the evidence all the time. So Sarah Lee from Sarah Lee Studios, thank you for your time. And is there anything else you'd like to say before we finish up?
I just want to say that anyone who's thinking about doing photography for a hobby or even for a career, go for it. If you love it, you'll really, really enjoy it. It's an incredibly rewarding career choice. It is a whole lot of hard work, and it's a lot more technical than you think at first, even though there's cameras everywhere and they all seem to do it all for you. When you get down to nuts and bolts, you have to learn a lot of it, but it's really, really worth it, and you can create any type of art you want, and you can make any sort of statement you want, and it's just something that can really take you a lot of places, and you get to meet a lot of people.
And I think photographic art is a good way to describe what you do. So anyone out there who needs to look like a masterpiece, Sarah Lee Studio is the way to go.